Hello Capricorn, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and today we're doing your July reading. I've got the Unfolding Path Tarot, and as always, these are general readings for a general Capricorn audience, right? So take what resonates and leave the rest for another Capricorn or for another day. I invite you to check out the videos for all of your astrological placements, including your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. Cross watchers are welcome. Of course, go ahead and really check out any video you're drawn to. I'm also going to pull one card from the Sweet Blossom Lenormand as a sort of oracle framing card. Okay. Tree. I thought so. All right. So tree is one of those foundational cards. It suggests growth, but kind of that slow growth, the sort of thing where, like, obviously you plant a seed, you nurture it, the tree grows, it leaves, it grows leaves, it has fruits, and over time it gets bigger and stronger and sturdier and more fruits or more blossoms, more leaves. It indicates progress generally, but slow and steady progress. Okay, so anything you start now, it's kind of a blessing, but it's like that slow, steady kind of progress and blessing. Okay, I think you see what I'm saying with that. What's interesting here is we start in your tarot with the Seven of Wands and the Five of Wands. Very fiery. You have a lot. You've got all wands, and then major arcana. So this is a very un-Capricorn tarot. This is a kind of Capricorny Lenormand card, but an un-Capricorny tarot. But this makes total sense for the first week of July because this is kind of explosive, and in America we're about to have the 4th of July, which is explosive, right? But getting into the interpretation, the Seven of Wands is, for me, the card of like a job interview or defending your thesis or an audition or something like that. It's the kind of thing where you put yourself out there and you show what you're worth. So if you are in a place where you're looking for a job or considering, putting your resume out there, this is the piece where you're excited to show someone, you have the skills, you're going out for a position or a role that you want, that you have the talent or the skill or whatever for. It might not be a formal interview. It might be the kind of thing where at the office you have to step up and take over for someone. Like, for example, if someone's out on vacation because it's summer or whatever, and you have to step up and take a leadership role, and it might even be the informal thing where somebody else is failing at the job and you have to kind of step in and save a project or something like that. It could be that kind of a vibe. But typically the Seven of Wands shows up when you have the skill, and you get the opportunity to show others that you have the talent, the skill, the drive, the energy, whatever it is, to save the day, to save the project, to do the thing, whatever it might be. And this does seem to be in an environment where there is a little bit of chaos. This is paired with the Five of Wands. And this comes up for me when there is like chaos in the office or chaos in the family. This can come up in the sort of situation where maybe like just as an example, where maybe your sister's getting married and the mother-in-law to be has opinions about the colors and the bridesmaids have opinions about the colors and your sister's feelings are hurt and everybody is, having ego involvement and you end up having to get in there to kind of play mediator or something like that. That would just be one example of how this kind of energy could play out. Everybody's having some ego sort of attachment to something, even when it isn't their business to have an attachment in the scenario where it would be your sister's big day anyway, right? It could be something like that. Or it could be this sort of situation where, like in an office setting, it could be the thing where the boss has gone on vacation and nobody's doing anything and nothing's getting done and everybody's lackadaisical and you have to step in and kind of maybe ensure that a deadline gets met or something like that. So it could be something like that. The Five of Wands also has come up for me when there aren't other people specifically involved in a particular environment, but just when I have a lot in my calendar, like when I have a day job and plus I'm interviewing for another job and I also have to remember to get my brother's birthday present mailed off and I have to remember to get my Etsy order that I packaged up to the also to the post office, and I just, the dry cleaning has to get done and then, somebody wants me to take them to the airport, like that kind of a thing when it's just scheduling and stuff that I'm really attached to. I'm worried about deadlines and I can't let my boss know that I'm interviewing for this other thing, like that kind of a thing. And sometimes for me, when I have a lot in my calendar and ego attachment to some things happening and wondering whether or not they're going to come out, I am not my best version of me. So sometimes with the Five of Wands, when there's ego attachment to things that people don't feel they're in control of or want control of, but don't, they aren't their best selves. So sometimes that shows up with the Five of Wands too. So in any case, that's kind of this fiery column here. But I would say you have the talent to kind of take on sort of a leadership position in whatever this sort of drama is, even though you don't like the drama, right? And there also seems to be something where you might have to give a speech or do an interview or something along those lines. Maybe a formal job interview, or maybe just a situation where you have to kind of take a lead or defend your skills in some way, audition in something. You get the idea. So there's that. But whatever happens over here, it seems to morph or evolve by mid-month, because look at these beauties. We have the Four of Wands, which is fiery, but it's that happy fiery, it's that excitement, it's that joy. The Four of Wands is typically a celebratory energy. It could be like a wedding, it could be a graduation, it could be a family reunion. Typically, though, there's some piece where you have achieved some milestone that you get to share with friends or family or loved ones. And they get to, it's a product of your skill, or, whatever you did over here is then reflected with the celebration over here. So take that as that applies for you. If you defended your thesis over here, even though it was like kind of a touch and go, hairy, scary environment with the family coming in and, all of the things you had to have in place, finally there's the celebration of having your PhD or whatever, and the family come in and they're super proud of you. And then in the Two of Wands, we have the planning the next phase. So you have your PhD, and then, take over the world or whatever the next piece is for you. And again, of course, that's a very specific example. Take it, apply that how it might show up in your world. But whatever you're celebrating, whatever you've accomplished or got through, survived in the first sort of column, and celebrated in the Four of Wands. The Two of Wands suggests now you're planning your next moves. And this is typically sort of a career trajectory. It might be a hobby or an artistic endeavor, or even a sort of fitness or athletic goals. But for most people, this is kind of like your career path or life path, like where you want to go. And I'm sorry if my neighborhood is loud. There's some kind of motocross happening down my street, it sounds like. But as we talked about in the tree, sort of being that long-term growth, the seeds that you're planting now that take, time and even years to grow and blossom. It's kind of the energy, even though we're looking now at your accomplishments and all you've gone through, and it looks like this very exciting energy in July, right? You're planning long term with this project or this goal, these goals that you have in mind. It's a multi-phase project, and this would be in the area of, like I said, a career or something you want to be known by, something you're excited by, something that may be attached to your healthy ego, something with a sort of a legacy piece, your personal legacy, your ambition, something along those lines. Now, let's look at your major arcana, because it's like we literally have your good angel and your bad angel, right? In the Judgment and in the Devil card, we have two angels. We have the angel that calls you out of bondage, and we have the angel that binds you. So these are some choices we have here. Are you going to return to a sort of bondage, temptation? The devil is temptation. The devil is the angel that keeps you small, bound, a slave, essentially. And the Judgment, the angel in the Judgment card, is the one that frees you from the box, that frees you from confinement, that frees you from bondage. The deal with Judgment is that you have to let go of addiction to temptation, you have to let go of your concept of who you were in the past or the limiting beliefs. You have to forgive yourself for past mistakes, or for maybe, sometimes we don't hit certain goals by certain age markers, or we don't have the certain kind of body type or voice type, or we don't become the kind of person we dreamed. We have to deal with exactly who we are. And Judgment is about forgiving ourselves for being exactly who we are, embracing the truth of ourselves, and moving forward with our true vulnerable selves. The devil is holding on to that not good enough mentality, that scarcity mentality, like I don't deserve mentality, right? So it's almost like we have a crossroads here at the end of the month. This push-pull between wanting the freedom to own the truth, to accept imperfection, to accept the messy beauty, of yourself, or, the kind of temptation to revert back to the old pattern of beating yourself up or holding yourself back, or being bound to a smaller life, or being bound to darkness, being bound to temptation. Oh, that sounds really sad. I almost hope you don't resonate with this at all, that I almost hope I'm wrong about this reading for you. But that's what this looks like. They're so juxtaposed here, the sort of good angel and bad angel. This is about freeing yourself from expectations about what you ought to be, and just owning the truth of your sort of beautiful, messy self, and moving forward with your perfect imperfections, right? With the truth of how you showed up for your life, and just celebrating that, right? And this is just the bondage of temptation, and reverting back to self-doubt and a scarcity mindset. So you don't have to have that. This is not predictive. You can choose your good angel. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Your continued growth and your stability and your healthy flourishing depends on choosing your good angel. And that's just radical acceptance, not being bound to limiting beliefs, not being bound to a scarcity mindset, not beating yourself up for imperfections, or for not hitting a certain milestones, or not comparing yourself to others. It's just celebrating how far you've come and sharing the skills and the gifts you have. Okay, I've belabored that enough. I think you get it, right? I hope that's helpful, Capricorn. Thank you so much for dropping by. If this has been helpful, I invite you to share, like, subscribe. In any case, take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now.